I pulled into my mother's driveway on a Sunday morning, the gift bag sitting on the passenger seat beside me. Inside was a $2,000 Gucci handbag she had been mentioning for 3 months straight. The morning sun filtered through the oak trees, lining her suburban street, and I could smell fresh bread from the bakery 2 blocks over. I was excited to see her smile, to watch her open the gift I had worked extra hours to afford. This was not the first time I had bought her something expensive. It was a pattern I had fallen into over the years, always trying to make her happy, always trying to prove I was a good son. I had no idea that this would be the last time I would walk through that door as her son. Before I tell you how my own mother threw me out like trash on her birthday, I want to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you have ever felt taken for granted by your own family, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you want to hear more stories about standing up for yourself when the people who should love you most treat you like an ATM machine. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about family loyalty. Let me take you back to how I got here in the first place. My name is Cleveland, and I work as a software engineer at a major tech company. I make about $120,000 a year, which sounds like a lot, until you realize I have been supporting my entire family for the past 5 years. Let me paint you the picture of who I was supporting. My mother, Linda, is 56 years old. She has been a widow for 10 years, ever since my father died in a car accident. Then there is my younger sister, Kimberly, who is 26 and has been finding herself for the past 2 years. That means she has changed jobs 5 times and cannot seem to hold anything down. And finally, there is my younger brother, Marcus, who is 23 and currently in his 6th year of college, still without a declared major. They all live in the family home, a 4-bedroom house in a quiet suburban neighborhood with a big yard and a 2-car garage. I grew up in that house. I learned to ride my bike on that driveway. I had my first kiss on that front porch. But I moved out 6 years ago when I got my job in the city. I have my own apartment now, a small 1-bedroom place that is just enough for me. When my father died, I was 18 years old and about to start college. I made a decision then that I thought was the right one. I worked my way through school with scholarships and part-time jobs, so I would not drain the family savings. I graduated with honors, landed a good job, and by the time I was 22, I started sending money home. At first, it was just small amounts to help with groceries or utility bills. But over the years, it grew into something much bigger. For the past 5 years, I have been paying for almost everything. The mortgage on the house is $2,000 every month, and I pay it. The utilities, groceries, internet, and gas add up to about $1,500 monthly, and I cover that too. Health insurance for all 3 of them costs me $800 each month. Marcus's college tuition runs about $30,000 a year, which I have been funding. Kimberly gets about $500 a month from me for what she calls emergencies, but it usually goes toward new clothes makeup or car repairs she could have prevented with basic maintenance. And then there are the family vacations, 2 trips a year that cost anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 each time. When I add it all up, I have been spending between $6,000 and $7,000 every single month on my family. That is close to $80,000 every year. Over 5 years, I have given them nearly $400,000. At first, I felt good about it. I felt like I was honoring my father's memory by taking care of everyone he left behind. I was proud to be the man of the family, the one who stepped up when things got hard. My mother would call me her rock, her hero. Kimberly would text me thank you with heart emojis. Marcus would say I was the best big brother in the world. But somewhere along the way, things started to change. The thank yous became less frequent. The gratitude turned into expectation. And about 3 months before my mother's birthday, I started noticing things that made me uncomfortable. I was visiting the house one afternoon when I saw Kimberly showing off a new designer purse to our mother. It was a sleek, black leather bag with gold hardware, the kind that costs at least $800. I asked her, "Where did you get the money for that? I thought you were trying to save up." She laughed and said, "Oh, Mom gave it to me. She said you send so much money that there is plenty to go around." Something twisted in my stomach, but I pushed it down. I told myself I was being selfish. I made good money. Why should not they enjoy it? 2 months before the birthday, Marcus called me complaining that I only gave him $300 a week for spending money. He actually said, "All my friends get at least $500 a week from their parents. I feel embarrassed when we go out." I tried to explain that $300 a week for a college student was already generous, that he needed to learn how to budget. His response made my blood run cold. "You are so cheap, Cleveland. You make all this money and you squeeze every penny from me like I am some kind of burden." I ended up increasing his allowance to $400 a week just to stop the argument. But I felt exhausted. I felt like no matter what I did, it was never enough. 1 month before the birthday, my mother called specifically to tell me what she wanted as a gift. She did not ask. She told me, "Cleveland, honey, I saw the most beautiful Gucci bag at the mall. It is only $2,000. I would love to have it for my birthday." I hesitated. $2,000 was a lot for a purse. I suggested finding something else, something less expensive but just as nice. Her voice changed immediately. "You make so much money, and you cannot buy your own mother a purse? After everything I did for you, I gave birth to you, Cleveland. I raised you. I sacrificed my whole life for you." The guilt hit me like a truck. I agreed to buy the bag. I spent the next month working overtime to make sure I could afford it without dipping too much into my savings. I told myself that this gift would make her happy, that things would get better. I should have known that no gift would ever be enough. The morning of my mother's birthday, I arrived at the house at 9 o'clock. I parked in my usual spot on the street and grabbed the Gucci bag from the passenger seat, along with a birthday cake I had ordered from an expensive bakery downtown. It cost $150, but I wanted everything to be perfect. As I walked up to the house, I noticed there were more cars than usual parked along the curb. I recognized Kimberly's red sedan and Marcus's old pickup truck, but there were 2 other vehicles I did not know. My mother had not mentioned having guests over. I opened the front door and heard loud laughter coming from the living room. When I stepped inside, the laughter stopped abruptly. Kimberly and Marcus were sitting on the couch with 2 people I had never seen before. My mother sat in her favorite armchair, and when she looked at me, her expression was strange. Not happy, not welcoming, just cold. "Oh, you are here," Kimberly said flatly. I forced a smile and held up the gift bag. "Of course I am here. It is Mom's birthday. Who are these people?" My mother gestured to the strangers. "Cleveland, this is my sister Teresa and her husband Raymond. They just moved back from Florida." I was stunned. My father had mentioned having a sister, but they had not spoken in over 20 years. There had been some kind of falling out before I was even born. I had never met these people, never even seen a picture of them. Teresa looked me up and down with a tight smile that did not reach her eyes. She was a thin woman with sharp features and hair dyed an unnatural shade of red. Raymond sat beside her, a heavy-set man with thick arms crossed over his chest. "So, this is the successful son Linda is always bragging about," Teresa said. Her voice dripped with something I could not quite identify. Sarcasm, contempt. I tried to be polite. "Nice to meet you both. I did not know you were coming." "We are family," Raymond said. "We do not need an invitation." The atmosphere in the room felt wrong, like I had walked into a conversation I was not supposed to hear. But I pushed the feeling aside and walked over to my mother. "Happy birthday, Mom," I said, handing her the gift bag. "I got you the bag you wanted." Linda took the bag and opened it without any ceremony. She pulled out the Gucci purse, examined it for a moment, and then set it on the side table next to her chair. No smile. No thank you. Just a flat. $2,000 for this, right? Yeah, I said slowly. You said you really wanted it. Raymond snorted. $2,000 for a bag. You could not spring for a vacation instead. Give your mother some real memories. I felt my face flush. With all due respect, this is what my mother asked for. It is her birthday. Teresa leaned forward. Does this boy always talk back to his elders like this, Linda? I was about to respond when my mother held up her hand. Cleveland, sit down. We need to talk. Something in her tone made my stomach drop. I sat down on the edge of the couch, suddenly very aware that everyone was staring at me. I have been doing a lot of thinking, Linda began, and I have decided that Teresa and Raymond are going to move in here. They are going to live with me. The words did not make sense at first. Move in. But Mom, there are only 4 bedrooms. You, Kimberly, and Marcus already used 3 of them. Kimberly spoke up, her voice matter of fact. We already decided. Teresa and Raymond will take your old room. My room, I repeated. But that is my room. I grew up in that room. Marcus shrugged. You do not live here anymore, Cleveland. You have your own apartment. That room is just storage for your old stuff anyway. We need the space. I tried to keep my voice calm. Okay, but why did not anyone tell me about this? Why am I just finding out now? Linda's expression hardened. Because I knew you would make it difficult. I do not need your permission to decide who lives in my house. I am not trying to make it difficult, I said. I just think I should have been told. I am still part of this family. Raymond laughed a harsh sound. This kid really thinks he is the boss around here, does not he, Linda? Teresa added, I bet he thinks because he pays for things he gets to make the decisions. I do not think that, I said, my voice rising slightly. I just want to be treated with some basic respect. Linda stood up suddenly. Respect. You want to talk about respect, Cleveland? You think because you send money, you can control what happens in this house? I never said that, I protested. I just think that as your son, I should at least know about major changes in the family. Your son, Linda repeated slowly. She stepped closer to me, and I could see something in her eyes I had never seen before. Something cold and distant. Do you think you are the center of this family, Cleveland? Do you think we all revolve around you? No, Mom. I just want to feel like I matter. Kimberly stood up too. You always act like you are saving us, Cleveland. Like we should be grateful for every dollar you throw our way. Do you know how that feels? To constantly feel like we owe you. I never made you feel that way on purpose, I said. I was just trying to help. Marcus joined in. Help you use money to make yourself feel important. You make us feel small. I hate it. I looked around the room in disbelief. Teresa and Raymond sat there with satisfied smirks on their faces, like they were enjoying a show. My mother stood with her arms crossed, her face hard as stone. My siblings glared at me with resentment I had never seen before. Where is this coming from? I asked. What did I do? Teresa said to Linda. See what I mean? He only gives you money so he can control you. That is not love. That is manipulation. Raymond nodded. People like him, they only know how to relate through their wallet. No real heart in it. You do not even know me, I said, my voice shaking. You just met me 5 minutes ago. Linda held up her hand again. Enough. Cleveland, I want you to leave. The room went silent. I stared at my mother, certain I had misheard her. What? You heard me, she said. Leave my house. Mom, you cannot be serious. I am your son. She took a step closer, and her next words came out like ice. You think your money means you own us. You think we need you. I am done with this, Cleveland. I have Teresa and Raymond now. They are real family. They care about me, not about controlling me with their bank account. I never tried to control anyone, I said desperately. I just wanted to take care of you all. We do not need your money anymore, Linda said. And we do not need you. I stood up, my legs shaking. Mom, please. Can we just talk about this? Kimberly and Marcus sat in silence, not even looking at me. Teresa whispered something to Raymond, and they both smiled. My mother walked toward the front door and opened it wide. She turned to face me, and in that moment she looked like a stranger. You were my son, she said slowly, deliberately. But you are not anymore. Get out of my house. I could not move. I could not breathe. This could not be happening. Mom, you are no longer my son. Her voice echoed through the house. She pointed at the door, her hand trembling with rage. I looked one more time at Kimberly and Marcus, hoping they would say something, anything. But they just sat there in silence. I walked to the door in a daze. As I stepped over the threshold, my mother slammed the door behind me so hard the frame shook. I stood on the front porch for a long moment, staring at the closed door. The Gucci bag was still inside. The birthday cake was still on the hall table where I had set it down. And I was outside, locked out of the house I grew up in, disowned by my own mother on her birthday. I do not remember walking to my car. I do not remember the drive back to my apartment. I just remember sitting in my living room as the sun went down, staring at nothing, my phone buzzing with a text from Marcus. It said, "You should think about your attitude." That was when it hit me. They did not see me as a person. They never had. I was just a bank account to them. An ATM that occasionally talked back. And that was the moment I decided to stop being their ATM. I did not sleep that night. I could not. I sat in my apartment with my laptop open, scrolling through 5 years of bank statements, emails, and text messages. I was looking for something, anything, that would prove I was wrong about them. I wanted to find messages where they thanked me sincerely, where they showed they cared about me as a person, and not just as a source of money. I found nothing. Every text message was a request. Can you send money for this? I need help with that. Why did you only send this much? Not one single message said, "How are you doing, Cleveland?" or "We appreciate you." Not one. I opened my banking app and calculated exactly how much I had given them over the past 5 years. The number made me feel sick. $397,000. Nearly $400,000 of my life. My work, my time handed over to people who had just told me I was not their family anymore. My mother's words kept replaying in my head. You are no longer my son. Fine. If I was not their son, then I was not their wallet either. I made a decision in that moment. It was not about revenge. It was not about anger. It was about drawing a line. It was about reclaiming my own life from people who had drained it dry without a single thank you. Monday morning, I started making phone calls. The first call was to the mortgage company. I had set up automatic payments from my account 5 years ago, when my mother said she was struggling to keep up. I need to cancel the automatic payment for account number ending in 7429. I told the representative. Can I ask why you are canceling, sir? The property owner needs to take over their own payments, I said calmly. Understood. The cancellation will be effective starting next month. The account holder will receive a notice that they need to set up their own payment method. $2,000 a month back in my pocket. Next, I called the electric company, then the gas company, then the internet provider. Every single utility was in my name, because I had set them up when my mother said it was easier that way. One by one, I transferred them back to her name, or simply canceled the service. I need to close my account at 3721 Maple Drive, I told the internet company. Will someone else be taking over service at that address? That is their decision to make, I said. Cancel it effective immediately. The customer service representative paused. Sir, that means they will lose internet service by end of business today. I understand. 3 more calls, 3 more services cut, The electric would stay on because it was legally required to give notice, but they would get a bill in Linda's name within a week. Same with gas and water. Then, I called the health insurance company. This one hurt a little. I did not want anyone to be without medical coverage, but I also was not going to pay $800 a month for people who did not consider me family. I need to remove 3 dependents from my policy, I told the insurance agent. She listed their names: Linda Harris, Kimberly Harris, Marcus Harris. Yes, remove all 3, effective at the end of this month. They will need to secure their own coverage, sir. May I ask the reason for removal? They are no longer my dependents. The words felt strange coming out of my mouth, but they were true. Next came the credit cards. I had given both my mother and Kimberly authorized user cards on my account. The limit was $5,000 each, and they used them regularly. I pulled up the most recent statement and saw charges from last week. Kimberly had spent $600 at a clothing store. Linda had charged $400 at a home goods shop. I want to cancel all authorized user cards on my account. I told the credit card company. All cards will be deactivated immediately, sir. I imagined Kimberly at a store trying to buy something and having her card declined. Part of me felt guilty. But the guilt faded when I remembered her sitting silently while my mother threw me out. The hardest call was to Marcus's university. I had been listed as his financial sponsor, paying his tuition directly each semester. I need to withdraw my sponsorship for Marcus Harris. I told the bursar's office. I see. He still has 2 semesters remaining. He will need to arrange his own payment or apply for student loans. I understand. Sir, this will likely result in a hold on his account if he cannot pay. He may not be able to register for classes. That is his responsibility now, I said. Marcus owed about $30,000 for his remaining time in school. He was going to have to figure it out himself, just like I had. Finally, I went through all the subscriptions I was paying for the family. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Amazon Prime, Spotify Family Plan, and gym memberships for all 3 of them. I canceled every single one. With each phone call, each cancellation, I felt something shift inside me. At first, my hands shook. I had to take breaks between calls to steady my breathing. But as I continued, I felt lighter. It was like I was cutting invisible chains that had been weighing me down for years. By Monday afternoon, I had done it. I had cut off every single financial connection to my family. Every payment, every service, every subscription. All of it gone. My phone started ringing around 3 o'clock that afternoon. It was Kimberly. "Cleveland!" she screamed before I even said hello. "My credit card is not working. I am standing in the middle of the mall, and it got declined. What did you do?" "I canceled it," I said calmly. "You what?" "You cannot do that. I have things in my cart." "Then I suggest you find another way to pay for them. Maybe use your own money." "I do not have money. You know that." "Then I guess you are not buying those things today." "You are being insane," she yelled. "This is crazy. You are my brother." "No," I said quietly. "Apparently, I am not. Mom made that very clear yesterday." She did not mean it. She was just upset. She said I was no longer her son, Kimberly. She slammed the door in my face. "If I am not her son, then I am not your brother. And if I am not your brother, I am definitely not your bank. You are being petty. Goodbye, Kimberly." I hung up and immediately blocked her number. 2 hours later, Marcus called. "Dude, what the hell? The school just called me. They said you are not paying my tuition anymore. They are putting a hold on my account." "That is correct," I said. "But I cannot afford to pay." "What am I supposed to do?" "What I did. Apply for loans. Get scholarships. Get a job. Figure it out." "But I am in school. I do not have time for a job." "I worked 3 jobs while I was in school, Marcus. You will survive. You are ruining my life, he shouted. You are destroying my future. Your future is your responsibility, I said, not mine. I cannot believe you are doing this, just because of one fight with Mom. It was not one fight, I said. It was 5 years of being treated like an ATM. 5 years of never being appreciated. 5 years of being taken for granted. And then being told I am not part of the family anymore. You are being so dramatic. Goodbye, Marcus. I blocked his number too. At 7 o'clock that evening, my mother called. Cleveland, what do you think you are doing? Her voice was sharp angry. The mortgage company called me. They said I have to start paying next month. And the bank called about the utilities. What is going on? I am following your instructions, Linda. Do not call me Linda. I am your mother. No, I said softly. You made it very clear yesterday that I am not your son anymore. So you are not my mother. You are just Linda, a woman I used to know. There was a long silence on the other end. I did not mean it like that, she finally said. I was upset. You know how I get. You screamed at me that I was no longer your son. You slammed the door in my face on your birthday, in front of people I had never met, after I brought you a $2,000 gift you demanded. I did not demand it. Yes, you did. And it still was not enough. Nothing I ever did was enough. Cleveland, you cannot just cut us off like this. We need that money. We need your help. You told me you did not need me. You said Teresa and Raymond were your real family now, so let them help you. They cannot, she shouted. They are retired. They do not have money. Then I guess you have a problem, Linda. Do not do this. Her voice cracked. We cannot afford the house without your help. We will lose everything. You should have thought about that before you threw me away, I said. She started crying. Then, big, dramatic sobs. Please, Cleveland. I am sorry. I am so sorry. Please come back. We need you. For just a second, I felt my resolve waver. This was my mother. The woman who had raised me, who had been there for my first day of school, who had stayed up with me when I was sick. But then, I remembered yesterday. I remembered the coldness in her eyes. I remembered sitting silently while strangers insulted me. I remembered the door slamming. You do not need me, I said quietly. You need my money. There is a difference. That is not true. It is. And I am done pretending it is not. Goodbye, Linda. Cleveland, wait. Do not hang up, Cleveland. I ended the call and blocked her number. Then I turned off my phone and sat in the silence of my apartment. I did not feel triumphant. I did not feel victorious. I just felt tired. And strangely, beneath the exhaustion, I felt something else. I felt free. The first 2 weeks were hard. Even with all their numbers blocked, I knew chaos was unfolding on the other side. A mutual friend, someone who had gone to high school with me and still lived in the old neighborhood, sent me updates I did not ask for. The internet got shut off after 3 days because no one paid the bill. The electricity stayed on, but they received a notice that payment was due in Linda's name now. Teresa and Raymond left the house within a week. Apparently, living without Wi-Fi and facing the reality of actual bills was not what they had signed up for. They went back to Florida without a word. Kimberly moved in with her boyfriend, the same guy she had complained about months earlier for not making enough money. Marcus had to drop out of school and get a job at a restaurant downtown. He was working as a server, saving up to go back and finish his degree. Linda put the house up for sale because she could not afford the mortgage on her own. I did not feel sorry for them. I probably should have, but I did not. Every time I thought about reaching out, I remembered that moment on my mother's birthday. I remembered being told I was no longer her son. I remembered my siblings sitting there in silence while strangers tore me apart. Instead of dwelling on them, I did something I had not done in years. I focused on myself. I went to see a therapist. Her name was Dr. Patterson, a woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and a calm voice. I told her everything. She listened without judgment. "Do you think I did the wrong thing?" I asked her during our third session. "Do you think you did?" she asked back. "I do not know. Part of me feels guilty. They are my family." "Cleveland," she said gently, "can I ask you something? In all those years of supporting them, how many times did they ask how you were doing?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. I do not think they ever did. How many times did they celebrate your accomplishments? Your promotion at work? Your birthday? I realized I could not remember the last birthday where they had done anything for me. I always went to their celebrations, always brought gifts, always paid for dinner. But my own birthdays passed without acknowledgement. "That is not about money," Dr. Patterson said. "That is about care. Real family, healthy family is reciprocal. It sounds like you were in a one-sided relationship where your only value was what you could provide financially." Her words struck something deep inside me. So, I was not wrong to cut them off. "You set a boundary," she corrected. "You decided that you would no longer accept being treated as less than human. That is not wrong, Cleveland. That is self-preservation." Our sessions helped, but what really changed things was when I started exploring my own life again. I had spent so many years working overtime to support my family that I had forgotten what I actually enjoyed. I started hiking. There was a trail an hour outside the city that wound through mountains and ended at a waterfall. The first time I went, I felt muscles I had forgotten I had. But standing at that waterfall surrounded by trees and the sound of rushing water, I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. I met Daniel on one of those hikes. He was around my age, maybe a year or two older, with an easy smile and a worn backpack. We ended up walking the same trail and got to talking. "You come out here a lot?" he asked. "Trying to," I said. "I am kind of new to this." "It shows." He laughed, but not meanly. "You are carrying way too much water for a 3-mile hike." We became friends after that. Over coffee one afternoon, he told me his own story. His family had drained him financially for years until he finally cut them off. He understood exactly what I was going through in a way no one else could. "People think it is about the money," Daniel said, "but it is not. It is about the disrespect. It is about being invisible unless you are useful." "Exactly," I said. I kept trying to buy their love, and they kept taking without ever giving back. It felt good to be understood, to not be judged. 6 months passed. I moved into a small house I bought for myself, something I could have never afforded when I was supporting everyone else. I got a promotion at work because I could finally focus on my career instead of constantly worrying about my family's next crisis. I took a vacation to Colorado by myself and spent a week skiing. I was happy, actually genuinely happy. Through that same mutual friend, I heard occasional updates. Linda had sold the house and moved into a small apartment across town. The new place was 1-bedroom cheap and in a rougher neighborhood. Kimberly was still with her boyfriend, working part-time at a retail store and complaining on social media about how hard life was. Marcus was still saving money slowly, working his way back toward finishing school. And Teresa and Raymond. They had not contacted Linda once since they left. Turns out they had only come around because they thought there was money to be had. When that dried up, so did their family loyalty. I did not feel vindicated by their struggles. I did not feel victorious. I just felt neutral. They were living their lives, and I was living mine. They had made their choices, and I had made mine. Did I regret what I did? No. Not for a second. Was I angry at them? Not anymore. Anger takes energy, and I did not want to give them any more of my energy. I just felt free. Free to live my own life. free to spend my money on things I wanted, free to build relationships with people who valued me for who I was not what I could give them. It has been almost a year now since that birthday. Almost a year since I was told I was no longer my mother's son. Almost a year since I walked away from people who only saw me as a source of money. I am not going to stand here and tell you it did not hurt. It did. It still does sometimes. There are moments when I see a mother and son laughing together in public, and I feel that old ache. There are nights when I wonder what would have happened if I had just kept paying, just kept giving, just kept being their ATM. But then I remind myself of what I learned. I learned that love and money are not the same thing. I learned that real family does not make you feel guilty for existing. I learned that boundaries are not walls. They are bridges to healthier relationships. And most importantly, I learned that my worth is not measured by my bank account. The therapist helped me understand something crucial. I was not supporting my family out of love. I was doing it out of guilt and fear. Guilt that I had more than they did. Fear that if I stopped giving, they would stop loving me. But here is the thing: they never really loved me in the first place. They loved what I could do for them. Some people might think I am heartless for what I did. They will say, family is family, that you should forgive and forget that blood is thicker than water. But those people do not understand what it feels like to be used. They do not know what it is like to give everything you have and still be told it is not enough. I stopped being their ATM, and yes, their lives became harder. But my life became better. I have savings now. Real savings. I have plans for my future that do not involve paying someone else's bills. I have friendships built on mutual respect instead of financial obligation. I have learned to value myself as more than just a wallet with legs. Do I miss having a family sometimes? But I am building my own family now. A chosen family. Daniel and the friends I have made through hiking. My coworkers who actually care about my well-being. The therapist who helped me see my worth. These people, they are my real family. If you are reading this, and you are in a situation where people only come to you when they need something, I want you to ask yourself an honest question. Are they in your life because they love you, or because they need you? There is a huge difference between those two things. Real love does not come with invoices. Real family does not make you feel like an ATM. Real relationships are built on mutual care, not one-sided sacrifice. Cutting them off was not about revenge. It was not about making them suffer. It was about reclaiming my own life from people who had convinced me that my only value was in what I could provide. It was about finally putting myself first, after years of putting everyone else ahead of me. I do not regret what I did. My only regret is that I did not do it sooner. Because the moment I stopped being their bank was the moment I started being myself again. And that feeling of being whole, of being valued for who I am, rather than what I can give, that is worth more than any amount of money I ever handed over. So here is my question to all of you watching this. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt more like a resource than a person? Maybe it was family. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was a partner. How did you handle it? Did you set boundaries? Or did you keep giving until there was nothing left? Drop your story in the comments below. I want to hear from you. And if this story resonated with you, if you have ever felt taken for granted or used by the people who should love you most, do me a favor. Hit that like button so I know I am not alone in this. Subscribe to hear more real stories about standing up for yourself and finding your worth. Share this video with someone who might need to hear it, someone who is struggling with the same thing I went through. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for not judging me. Thank you for understanding that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from people who drain you dry. I hope your families treat you better than mine treated me. And if they do not, I hope you find the courage to put yourself first. You deserve it. We all deserve to be loved for who we are, not what we can give. Take care of yourselves out there. And remember, you are worth more than your bank account. You always have been.